The request was they weren't too sure how it was looking, how the health of the tree was. So.
After coming on board in 2016 under Arlington's Natural Resources Division, Tree Warden Tim Lecuivre has been busy taking stock of the town's trees and their health.
You look for dead wood, the balance of the tree. You can see that there's the utilities had come in and they had pruned the canopy away from the lines. The top line, that's the primary, and that's the utilities' responsibility to make sure that those lines are clear.
As part of a tree inspection, Lecuivre measures the trunk circumference to add to the town's database.
So if it's 20 inches to 21, we'll call it about 21 inches. And all that will go down in our database system, and I'll respond to the resident, let them know that this is what we're going to do with the pruning, and then that request will go off to the actual Arlington Forestry Department, and they'll come out here and schedule the work and take care of the work.
Arlington resident Robert Layton asked about the large tree after he'd wondered if it was an invasive one.
I was just wondering about the Chinese elm.
Sure. Yep. So there are certain elm trees. So we have trees that are native and non-native, and then there's invasive and non-invasive. So trees that are native, they could be invasive, and vice versa. So other trees that are non-native, they could be invasive or non.
One common invasive species found in Arlington is the Norway maple, like this one. Even though it's invasive, if it's not causing issues with its surroundings, it's usually left alone.
Many trees in Arlington, when they decided to put the trees in, at that point in time, they thought they were really urban tolerant trees, so they planted many of these trees. So if the tree is hazardous, there's holes in it, fruiting structures, decline in the canopy, dead, we'll remove those plants. So for instance, this large elm tree underneath these overhead utilities, this is a spot where I would not plant a large tree like this, just because you can see that the problem it is with the overhead utilities. So we'll be planting a smaller tree species that only gets about 20 to 30 feet in total height.
When new trees are planted, Lecuivre chooses the most appropriate species, preferring native plants that will fit with the space. The smaller specimens need special care to ensure their health and growth over time.
We accompany them here with these gator bags, and they hold about 22 gallons of water. So we ask our residents to come and help us fill the gator bags, just to keep the trees alive. We're in a 5-year drought, last year being historic, and so it's really important that trees get about a gallon per week per inch. So for instance, this here is about, almost 2 inches, so this plant will require about 20 gallons per week.
From removal to replacement, a plant has to be in place if a resident wants to replace a tree. Size and species must always be taken into consideration.
So if a builder wants to expand 50% or more and wanted to remove trees in that setback area that are 10-inch DBH or larger, they'll have to come up with a replacement plan. So for instance, you couldn't cut down a big oak tree and replace it with a small cute little Japanese maple, which is nice, but it's going to be a native tree, could be an oak tree, could be a maple tree that's going to get 50 feet or larger, just to continue that coverage for the canopy.
And what will Arlington's tree canopy look like in the future?
We'll be planting about 30 ginkgos this year. So we have ginkgo trees from other parts of the world, other cherry trees, so flowering trees, not necessarily from here, but non-aggressive and won't be a nuisance.
Corrales Pacencia, Arlington Public News.